What is up, my fellow Chibis? Hopefully all of you are having a very good day. And if there is some reason you're not having a good day, I do hope it gets a lot better and you have many great days to come. And so with that being said, let's talk about Kino's Journey, Episode 2. So this entire episode, just to clarify, this episode was in the original anime. Now, let me kind of clarify something if you're unaware, like you're new to Kino's Journey. Well, for instance, this series is a reboot. It is a reboot of the original story of Kino's Journey. However, this reboot is actually not being, like, in order, chronological order. It's actually shifting around, going to story by story and all that many of the fans, if I'm correct, chose and they wanted to see animated. So, basically, what we're seeing here is some stories that from, the original Kino's Journey, but a lot of stuff that we have not seen. So, effectively, you could say that this is a Season 2, but at the same time, though, it is Season 1, because it's an entire reboot of the series, but just in, like, a different order. Anyways, though, this episode, this entire story that was animated with Episode 2 of Kino's Journey was also in the original Kino's Journey anime, the one that came out a very long time ago and was in the early 2000s. So, if you recognize this, like if you've watched the original Kino's Journey and then you recognize this, then obviously it makes a lot of sense, because both anime had this story in it. So, I've already heard from many already telling me how this latest episode of Kino's Journey is very different from the original. Now, let me give some clarification of what's going on here if you're unaware. So, the original, like the first Kino's Journey and all that, when it did this arc, it was apparently 2 episodes long, and a lot of the stuff in it was anime original. It was stuff that was not in the light novel series. A lot of the stuff that was in the anime original for this, little mini story was 2 episodes long, anime original, and it added some clarification to some things or get foreshadowing to the prince. However, this episode was condensed, or the story was condensed into 1 episode. So, many of the original fans of the show are a little bit upset with how this episode was handled, because a lot of the stuff that was actually anime original gave more clarity to this story and made it a lot better. However, since they're trying to make this a very faithful adaptation of Kino's Journey, obviously anime original scenes are going to be completely axed. And so in this case, people are upset for the fact not that the series didn't follow the light novel, but they're actually upset that the show didn't deviate a little bit or add extra anime original scenes. That's pretty funny when I think about it. That's really, really funny, because it's very rare to hear something like that. Many complaining for the fact that there wasn't some anime original scenes added in, instead of the fact of it not, keeping to the original source. So in this case, it seems like the anime original scenes from the original series actually was a lot better than the story that took place in this episode. Now, I did see the comparison between the scenes and all that earlier. I looked at a YouTube video comparison, and overall, it does seem like the animation and art for this latest one, it's just leagues above the previous, Kino's Journey anime. It looks just so much better in my personal opinion. Now, obviously, if you really love the original art style, you're probably not gonna like this episode as much, but I just really love the new art style. I like the way it looks and all that, and it fits so much better personally to me, so I think it just looks better overall. In terms of the way the episode looks, it looks really good, and since it did properly adapt the story from the light novel, I really don't have much complaints whatsoever. Anyways, though, let's talk about the overall concept, okay? This episode had a lot of meaning for the previous episode. As we know, the last episode, it focused on a country that did not prohibit killing other people. Now, we did find out with a little twist is that the citizens of the country, they didn't kill each other. You would think it would be a lawless country to where there would just be, thugs all over the place, slaughtering each other, but that was not the case. The reason why there was so much order was because this law, when anyone came in thinking that they can get away with stuff and, kill people still and all that, they were put down by the entirety of the city, or the country. So, that's what kept law and order. The people were all the law, and they made sure to make people follow that, and if you weren't welcome there, well, you found out very quickly. You wouldn't last too long whatsoever. And so, the country, even though we heard some horrible things about it from the outside, saying it was a really bad country, it would be lawless, and, there would be a lot of death or whatever, that was not the case. And that's what really shocked Kino, of how the entire atmosphere of the country was just completely different from what everybody expected. Now, when you look at this episode, it actually reflects on the previous episode. This country, apparently everybody outside of it was saying that this is a prosperous country. It was a country that was well-liked. It had, a good, town. It had good citizens. There was nothing wrong about it whatsoever, and that's what Kino thought. Kino even states, like, so is there many like me that comes in that has the same impression like I do? And he said, like, yeah, on occasion, but we know for a fact it's more than on occasion. There's probably a lot of people that got the meaning of, like, oh, this is going to be a really good town, and when they get in, they're stuck with it, and then, they have to be in the Coliseum and be like a gladiator. So, this reflects on the previous episode to show that news spreading, word spreading by word of mouth or whatever, over many, many miles and all that, the truth kind of spreads thin, and maybe the proper things are not always there. For instance, the truth is not there, and you shouldn't always believe everything you hear, and that's basically what the message of this was. When you look at these two episodes, they're like a pair. That was the message, just to show that you shouldn't always trust what everybody says, because sometimes there could be more lies to it than truth, or more truth than lies, and you need to go see for yourself if it really is true or not. And so I feel like that really fits with the theme of the series, since it's a journeying series. Kino's journeying on her way to different countries and stuff. It fits with the theme, because she has to see for herself what is truly a good country or what's not a good country, and that's what happened with this episode. Anyways, though, let me talk about one of the big things that got everybody riled up with this episode. It wasn't the fact that it didn't have anime original content. What actually really got people upset, actually, was that there was something done in this episode. It could be the translations. It's probably the translations that made it look like that, and probably why people are upset. But apparently, Kino in the original series, she actually made a rule. When she won, she made a rule to where only the royal, citizens, people that are high up and wealthy, were to fight each other to become the next king, and the last one standing would become king, while all of the poor citizens would not be touched, and if you were to touch them, you would be disqualified completely. And that's basically a law that was passed in the original show, in the original anime. And with this episode, obviously, Kino's like, the last one standing in the country is the king. And so basically she was throwing everybody under the bus. And many are saying that this line from her in the latest episode actually goes against her character and doesn't have the same message or meaning that it did in the original series. So I can see why many would be upset with that. But personally, what I think is going on here, I think it's translations. I truly believe it's probably a translation issue. Because when it comes to anime and translating it and all that, there's a lot of times that you could see to where an anime is not properly translated and then the entire meaning of a certain sentence is just lost. It happens with Tokyo Ghoul, and even Boku no Hero Academia had a translation issue today as well. So, I mean, it happens all the time, and meaning of certain scenes can be completely lost because of just, not translating it properly. So I believe that most likely it's the same thing that probably from the original, it wasn't worded properly whatsoever. Now, I could be wrong. Anyone that can actually understand Japanese and can tell me how that scene was, let me know if that was really said or not. Did she actually want everybody to fight, or did she only say the wealthy citizens to fight and then left, the ones that were poor to be completely fine? Let me know in the comments below about that. So anyways, let's talk about also the prince. So the prince, he's also journeying on and all that, very similar to Kino, and has a talking dog, which is very funny because the motorbike, it's like, wait, that dog can talk? How can a dog talk? And I was just laughing to myself, like, says the talking motorcycle. The motorcycle obviously asks why a dog can talk. Like, I think I would rather deal with a talking dog than a talking motorcycle. I mean, let's just be real here. I mean, it seems more realistic, a dog talking than a motorcycle. Of all things, just think about it. So, when he started saying that, I just couldn't help but chuckle internally. He said something like that, and, nobody even pointed out, like, you're a motorcycle, which I felt very funny. Anyways, though, once that scene was done, I just really like how the show has this very mellow atmosphere to it, even though it can get very intense and serious, especially with seeing how Kino is able to handle herself and hold off against individuals in the Coliseum. She's a really strong individual, and you honestly shouldn't underestimate her whatsoever. So yeah, I'm probably going to end that there, though. I want to end this here because it was just a very enjoyable episode, had a lot of meaning, and Kino basically destroyed an entire country. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you like this series? Do you dislike this series? Anime onlys, how do you feel about this? People that watch the original show, how do you feel about this episode? Light novel readers, how do you feel about this episode? Let me know your honest thoughts in the comments below. So if you enjoy my content, please subscribe, and if you like this video, please leave a like, and if you want to support me for I can continue to focus on YouTube go in the description and support me on Patreon. It helps me out a lot. And one last thing, apparently many of you have been telling me that notifications have not been working for you properly whatsoever. And so if you're one of those that have not been getting notifications, even though I'll upload a video and you can see it on my channel, but you haven't gotten notified, then next to the subscribe button down below, if you click the bell icon, every time I upload, you will get notified when I have a video up. So yeah, you guys have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.